the rising cost of electricity in Barbados is certainly cause for concern. During the FTC hearing, prices were increased by an average of 4%. Since then, we have seen an increase in the value-added tax from 15% to 17.5%, and that too would have caused greater prices of electricity. But the truth is that world oil prices have been on the decline for the last 4 to 5 months, and yet still Barbadians are being asked to pay more for gasoline, for diesel and electricity. And we have discovered that the government locked the Barbadians into a higher price by indulging in a contractual agreement that apparently has caused Barbadians now to be paying higher fuel costs in spite of the fact that fuel oil is in decline with respect to prices. Now, this is a major issue that has to be addressed, and the government has not been fair in putting the facts to Barbadians, to the extent that there can be no justification for the ongoing rising cost of electricity in Barbados when what we have seen in the rest of the Caribbean is a reduction in fuel oil prices. Therefore, I'm putting it to you that something has gone awry, something has gone astray with respect to government's policy on energy. And this, we have discovered, is as a direct result of the government betting or hedging against oil prices in the future. And let me explain for the benefit of the public what this is. If you are buying oil in large quantities, you may make a decision at point A in January to lock in a contractual agreement at a particular price. But for the buyer, it makes sense to lock in at a low price. The seller is going to lock you into that price, and he hopes that the price of oil will decline in the future, which means that if the price of oil declines in the future, you, the buyer, you are locked in at a higher price and the seller benefits. It therefore makes sense for the buyer of futures to lock in at a price that is low and hope for the price to rise. In the case of fuel oil, Barbadians have been locked in to buying oil at a much higher price than the current world oil prices, and therefore Barbadian consumers, rather than feel the effects of a reduction in fuel oil prices, Barbadian consumers are actually experiencing rising prices at this time. This is as a result of unfortunate policy directives on the part of the government of Barbados. And therefore, I think that the opposition, through its research, has now been able to unravel what has been the problem in the last 6 to 8 months with respect to fuel, to electricity prices in Barbados. There's no doubt at all that yes, the FTC hearing would have increased prices, but the increase was only of the order of about 4%. There is no doubt that the increased value-added tax from 15 to 17.5% last year in November would have increased the electricity bill. But there's every reason now to believe that something has happened to cause Barbadians to continue to pay substantially high electricity bills as a result of silly policy on the part of the current Democratic Party administration.